within the first 1 year plus of Mr. President in office, over 10,000 Nigerians were killed.
Why are we sometimes not proactive but reactional in our approach as it concerns security? You cannot attack a place twice, 3 times, 4 times, and nothing is being done.
The government has to wake up. Nigeria is one of the few countries wherein you see terrorists employing technological warfare measures, and you will give it to them whether you like it or not, where terrorists begin to employ the services, the applications of drones, and not just drones, commercial drones, but are in combat ready, so called the combat drones. And at that level, at the commercial level, where you see not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 pieces deployed, and it's only proper for our armed forces to be strategic, dynamic in, change with the way the terrorists are changing. When I mean we should be dynamic, we should look beyond the conventional means of fighting what we used to.
Attack.
They are used to. We now change our mode of operations. That's what I mean by being dynamic. Change it. As they are changing, we're changing. And that's been the countermeasures you are using. And that's what they discovered, that this is what we do. And they're using it against us. So we should as well be able to change. Immediately they are changing their operations. These guys, they do show off. Like I said, they do show off. They come on air, TikTok and all that. And using their GPRS, you'll be able to pick out a precise location at any point, which I think the government should take advantage of. These guys are not spirits. They live inside the communities. And where communities, like I said, ethno-religious inclination are responsible, one of the factors, that is them. And so they hide behind ethnicity and religion to perpetrate their act of evil. And unfortunately, they are shielded, even by locals, who think that, like some, I'm not going to mention this, was people say these are our brothers and these are our families. And so when people come out, people of high repute come out to say terrorists are their brothers, imagine that kind of. So they'll go all out, do whatever it takes to protect them, to shield them away from being arrested and prosecuted. So I think that the government has to be more purposeful, and be more, like you said, proactive, and be more reactive. Measures to be on ground to checkmate that, not just basically the terrorists themselves. Let's make a go at their sponsors.
So the 2026 Global Terrorism Index, in 2025, Nigeria rose 2 places to 4th position, reflecting the significant increases of terrorist activity in the country. Now, terror attacks in Nigeria increased by 43%, from 120 incidents in 2024 to 171 in 2025. Now, death from terrorism has continued to rise, increasing by 46% to almost 750 in 2025. Now, this marks the highest death toll since 2020, it read. That much of violence continues to be driven by familiar groups such as Islamic State for West Africa Province, ISWAP, and Boko Haram, who account for 80% of all terrorism deaths in the country. Their influence remains deeply entrenched, particularly in the northeast. The report also stated that Borno State in particular, who funny enough had a bomb blast last week, continues to carry the highest burden when compared to its neighboring states across the country. Also, neighbors across the sub-Saharan Africa, where we have 5 countries in the Sahel, recorded falls in both the number of deaths and incidents from the previous year. Global terrorism is still concentrated in a handful of countries like Burkina Faso, Pakistan, Nigeria, Niger, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, accounting for about 70% of global fatalities, the reports read. Now, despite years of effort, Nigeria remains a constant presence on the list of the world's most affected countries, alongside Pakistan and Somalia. It has consistently ranked among the most affected countries, highlighting the persistent challenge in addressing terrorism. So the question remains, what are we not doing right? And what needs to be done to end this cycle of violence? Well, this and more will take center stage on the show today. And that's what we're talking about, Nigerian rise in terrorism index on global ranking. That's what we're having as a major discourse today. We're looking at that very report and indicating that Nigeria has risen on account of terrorism, and knowing that the country went from 6th now down to 4th most terrorist affected country in the world. Well, a sad narrative, but one that we really would be talking about today on the show, and one I really want you, or rather want us to critically look with an open mind to see how we can truly address the problem that's affecting us as a people. Well, anyway, it is always a ritual and a way of we doing things right here on the studio, we always tend to have a resource person and somebody that is well grounded in the discourse, and hence we'll be doing that today. And I have no other person but Mr. Omojefe Edafe. He has a BSc in criminology and security studies, and also an MSc in intelligence and security studies. And indeed, he's a security expert of high repute. Good day and welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, well, anyways, it's not a good report. On the mind, it's a good morning. And like I said in my introduction, Nigeria rose from 6th to 4th most terrorist-affected country in recent years, in 2025. And, well, if you look at the statistics, we have 45% increase in the cases of deaths in the country on account of this. 46% in the same year under review had more persons or incidents of terrorist attack. And I'm just a little bit concerned as us looking at this report. Let's look at this report and make sense out of it. Are we winning the fight against terrorism, or are we in a precarious situation? I just want your overall view as it concerns this very report.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael, for having me once more. I sincerely want to believe that, terror has a way of fighting back. Terrorism has a way of fighting back, and I sincerely believe that there are a lot of factors that has led to this increment from what it was, of recent. You understand that in the previous, maybe let's say 3-4 months behind, there has been an upsurge of terror attacks in the Northeast, and particularly in the Northeast and in the North Central. And you will give that to a lot of factors, maybe ranging from politics, then economics and global, situations as well. So these ones lead credence to the rise or upsurge, in terror activities. So I think is not really a true representation of what ought to be, or if there is a fight against the act of terror. Okay. It does not really represent the level of act or action as imputed by the federal government. So I think it's a fight back, is a way of getting back to the society and be able to tell them that we have not been decimated thus far. We are still here, up and doing stronger than ever, and we are still having our hood, and are probably making their sponsors believe that they are still in charge, as it were. But I don't think that is the true representation of things, as things were now. Owing from what we're seeing in the maybe past 3 days, you understand that there has been serious engagement and serious successes recorded thus far. And I give kudos to the armed forces. They are not doing badly. All they need to do is up their game, get more intelligence, inclined, and probably be more strategic and be more resolute on changing our strategic operations over time.
Okay, now talking about change, I want us to return now to this very report. I know you were able to look at a glance of it and see where we seem to lie. Now, one particular part of this report I want us to look at is the fact that in the Sahel region, Nigeria was the only country that did not make any progress as it concerns its fight against terrorism. And I'm now wanting to ask that, why are we in the red? On the money we've spent so much investment in security, but yet we are still in the red. And we are the only country in the Sahel region that did not make any significant progress when it comes to insecurity under review.
Okay, thank you. I want you to understand something. There is a popular saying in the social balance of Nigeria data here: the bigger the head, the bigger the headache. You understand that all the terrorist attention has been driven towards the West, Sub-Saharan Africa, West Africa, and all that is towards Nigeria, a bigger picture. You understand that they see the bigger gain in Nigeria, So Nigeria is a theater, is an open field for, all the direction of small and light weapons, the proliferations, and all the act of terror seems to be drifting towards
the country.
So you will give it, whether you like it or not, you want to appreciate the fact that, you can't compare what is happening in Burkina Faso, Niger Republic. That's just on a lighter scale. The big thing is happening in Nigeria, and now everybody is treated towards that. You look at the population, you see, and the gains, the economic gains, as as it comes to, how much you reap, how much you harvest out of your act of kidnapping and all that, So Nigeria is a very, very lucrative economic environment. And don't forget, like I said, Nigeria is a peculiar nation. It's a peculiar nation because the corruption absolutely is in charge. Whether you like it or not, we can't rule that out. Then, vis-a-vis our social, ethno-religious inclination too, is already a factor. So all these are things that are making it difficult to be able to curb whatever it is. But I think that with what is happening on ground, we are making some headway. I think so, sincerely.
Now, I doubt if some Nigerians will want to agree with you on the issue of we making some headway. And the reason I'll be saying this is just yesterday, bandits attacked Ekwa Church in Omogu and in Ifelo Dome, local government in Kwara State. And the funny narrative is that local government have been
attacked several times,
constantly attacked by bandits. And common sense, or Nigerians will naturally assume that having it repeated there again is something that shows that we are not serious as a people. We've not learned. We've not put proactive measures in place. So my question is, why are we sometimes not proactive but reactional in our approach as it concerns security? You cannot attack a place twice, 3 times, 4 times, and nothing is being done.
And Michael, if you hear what I said earlier, I said something about us being able to be dynamic in our strategic operations. Dynamic means that we should be able to change as the terrorists change their operations. Because I think that, sincerely, globally, Nigeria is about one of the many countries, one of the few countries rather, wherein you see terrorists employing technological warfare measures, and you will give it to them whether you like it or not, where terrorists begin to employ the services, the applications of drones, and not just drones, commercial drones, but are in combat ready, so called the combat drones. And at that level, at the commercial level, where you see not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 pieces deployed, and it's only proper for our armed forces to be strategic, dynamic in, change with the way the terrorists are changing. So you see, the dynamics have changed. It's not the conventional warfare, guerrilla warfare we used to have before now. So you buy as much as
hit and run,
but they are confrontational now. They are coming out all out. You see what happened? The ones we decimated on Wednesday or thereabout, you see that they came with, there were about 100 of them. There were about 3 commanders that were neutralized, and about 80 of them were neutralized. So they came with multiple drones, combat drones. And what I'm saying is that it's not a conventional terror actors you have in sub-Saharan Africa, that. So people want, when you talk, it's easy to talk. The only thing I think they should do, we should be more strategic, and I said we should be more dynamic in our strategic operations.
Now, in talking about dynamic, because I really want us to remain there, dynamic in what sense? What are we not doing?
No, okay, now, you see, now I was just talking with a group of persons yesterday, just that the platform was different. I was telling them that, when we talk about terrorism, they will not employ counter-terrorism. And now you're going to use what you do to counter whatever measure you are doing. So, either infiltrate your ranks and all that. So I think that they have been able to infiltrate our ranks. You understand? So what we are doing, they are using counter-intelligence measures against us. So we now need to be dynamic, change our modus operandi. And I give kudos to the American government. They brought in more drones.
Yeah, we'll be looking
more
at
drones
all of that.
and more troops.
200 of them.
On ground to be able to help to mitigate this. And I think that, sincerely, when I mean we should be dynamic, we should look beyond the conventional means of fighting what we used to. They are used to. We not change our mode of operations. That's what I mean by being dynamic. Change it. As they are changing, we're changing. And that's been the countermeasures you are using. And that's what they discovered, that this is what we do. And they're using it against us. So we should as well be able to change. Immediately they are changing their operations. And that means we'll be able to infiltrate their ranks, get intelligence,
within
them that will be able to help. And that's why I think we should collaborate with much more intelligent pro countries like Israel, like American government, like that. Okay, they are doing well with us, and probably European countries that can help us, with intelligence. I know that they have more than we have, even in our own country. So we should be able to assess all this, analyze the intelligence and be able to use them strategically. And then our tactical upstreams will not be able to, score victory, just like we did a couple of days ago. It was a wonderful one. To me, it was a very wonderful success, near zero fatality, and the injuries were sustained on our side were just about 4 or so, and that's wonderful. To me, that's 100%. You understand? And you were able to neutralize over 80 persons, 80 terrorists. And that, to me, is a good scorecard. If we go at that level, we're going to get it right.
Okay, now, talking about getting it right, because I want to get this right, because I'm still thinking. Now, if you look at a report released by the International Society for Civil Liberty and the Rule of Law just yesterday, Sunday, it indicated that 190,150 Nigerians were killed within the period of, that should be July of 2009 to March 19th of 2026. So we've lost 190,150 Nigerians to issues of Boko Haram, bandits, and ISWAP. Now, if you look at the span of period, we're talking about almost close to 2 decades, from 2009 to now. Naturally, any sane society would have come to understand the dynamics of these people. Any sane society would by now either see how they can counter these people, live among them, but still live and stay alive. That's what would have been thinking. Or might have even changed the narrative and be against them, because they've been on this same road for a long period of time that has decimated most part of the Northeast, North Central, and Northwest. Now, my question is, it has taken us almost 2 decades. 2 years from now, it will be 3 years. What is making all of this seem like it's a norm? It's now almost like, and that's how things are. Relax, insecurity is now becoming, Nigerians are looking as if insecurity is now becoming a way of life. It's not big news I read on the news that 8 people were adopted. It's not big deal I read in the news that 3 persons were killed. Children were, so come on, what's making it a norm?
It's a very terrifying one, I must tell you sincerely. Basically, we are beginning to see it as a way of life, and it's part of us. But these things before the democratic dispensation, it was alien to us. Yeah. We used to read about it when we heard about
in Afghanistan, Taliban, and all of that.
So it was alien. It was really totally strange. All of a sudden, maybe the
and funny enough, those countries are even making huge gains, and yet
because over time they have dwelt on it, and we'll definitely make our gains. Just like I said, we will make gains. Until Nigerians get it right, we may not make the net.
Okay, let's leave the gains, but understand why it's not a way of life.
Basically now I'll bring it back to the Nigerian citizenry, because you see that I heard Mr. President say that basically insecurity has become one of the big issues. It's been a big issue for a very long time, and you see that when parties. But when they do during politics, they don't come out with manifestos that dwells on tackling insecurity. They make it look like a light issue. But I tell you sincerely, there is no country anywhere globally that can develop or grow to the basic where that their fundamentals and all that are available, readily available, and you now involve in multinational firms coming in and to invest in your nation. If there is this high level of insecurity, nobody wants to come and invest his billions of dollars and all that in a country that is highly terrorized like ours. So you can't blame the multinational companies
from shying away.
Shying away and all that. So I think it's a very big issue, and that the Nigeria citizens should look at closely. Look at the manifestos of would-be politicians coming to tell us that you want to govern us. What do you have? How are you going to checkmate this level of insecurity? How are you going to mitigate it? And these are things we should be looking at. But unfortunately, no, Nigerians are not responsible. We feel like we throw everything at government. We don't know that we are responsible for whatever is coming. Now, let's look at it from the aspect of governance. Why we think it's becoming a norm is because I think it's not been handled the way it needs to be handled. I think Mr. President is doing well now, involving all that countries. Like he said he's ready to even use the goodwill of the country and our resources, to pay for the services and do whatever. So he's going all out. He's not depending on one particular country. He's been able to reach out to the United Kingdom. He's been able to reach out to France, even Turkey. So I see it would not, yield immediate results. But you see that results will come. It will come definitely. But it's going to take some time. because the system is so highly messed up. And to cleanse this thing was going to take some time. Because unfortunately, like I said, these guys are not spiritual. They live inside the communities. And where communities, like I said, ethno-religious inclination are responsible, one of the factors, that is them. And so they hide behind ethnicity and religion to perpetrate their, their act of evil. And unfortunately, they are shielded, even by locals who think that, like some, I'm not going to mention this, was people say these are our brothers and these are our, our families. And so when people come out, people of high repute come out to say terrorists are their brothers, imagine that kind of. So they'll go all out, do whatever it takes to protect them, to shield them away from, being arrested and prosecuted. So I think that the government has to be more purposeful, and be more, like you said, proactive and be more reactive. Measures to be on ground to checkmate them, not just basically the terrorists themselves. Let's make a go at their sponsors, a big one at that. Let's make it a very huge matter, bring it to a global platform, and let's address it, even from the universal or global anti-money laundering agencies and all that, so that can tackle this and bring it before the United Nations. These are things from all frontiers. Let's fight it. It's an ugly trend that has to be checkmate. A multi-hydra, headed hydra. Something that has to be tackled immediately. So all machineries and all things have to put on deck by the those saddled with the responsibility and to be able to checkmate it.
Okay, well, anyway, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to talk about it, to bring it to those that are in terms of affair, and try to see their reaction as it concerns the growing terrorism in the country. And remembering that just recently, our rating as it concerns global terrorism has increased. We were formerly 6th in 2024, but now up to 4th, and only God knows in 2026 where we'll still lie, knowing that we've also been affected by bandits and terrorists in the last couple of months in 2026. Well, anyway, that's what we're still having. Like I said, we still have no other person but the security expert, one that has a BSc in security and security studies, yes, and also an MSc in intelligence and security studies are helping out, and I'm talking of no other person but Omojefe, Edafe. Well, I need to come back to you now because, we've just highlighted the problem. We've just now seen why we are not winning the war, but they will always say you discover to recover. You have to know the problem before you now take what needs to be done to resolve them. So let's not be too, how will I put it, let's not be too critic without a solution also coming up. Now, one solution I want us to look, you raised it a bit, and I want us to continue on that trajectory. Recently now, we've heard that about 200 Americans have come into Nigeria on account of security. And not only that, we've now they did not come alone, they brought drones and drone technologies to help out. And everybody will center all of this on the issue of intelligence gathering, which we seem to lack, which we seem to make us look as if we are more reactionary than proactive. Now, let's look at the coming of this intelligence and how they can also help us deal with the issue of having information of these non-state actors within their radar constantly. So let's look at intelligence gathering and how that can also make us tip the balance to our favor as the account of insecurity in the country.
Okay, thank you very much. I think sincerely, it's very simple. What we do, like I talked about, counterintelligence, counter-terrorism and all that. These are machineries that are put on motion, operational modules and tactics that can be employed, to infiltrate the rank and files of would-be terrorists, non-state actors. And I think that the government is not doing badly. One way to know about a man's home is to be in the home, to be able to infiltrate his home and be able to find out how he operates. And I think that Nigeria will not do badly with the aids and the incoming of, we'll use technology. But I don't forget that's what we call, it's not just about geospatial intelligence or all of that, what we call human intelligence, human intelligence. We have to go, let's use, get information from them, even if it's maybe use women agents, infiltrate them, and be able to find themselves in just that, so that we're able to get information. But sincerely, I think that even the terrorists make it easier for us. Like what I think happened in that last week, where over 80 of them were neutralized. These guys, they do show off. Like I said, they do show off. They come on air, TikTok and all that. And using their GPRS, you'll be able to pick out the a precise location at any point, which I think the government should take advantage of, or those who are saddled with responsibility of the security agencies take advantage of. You'll be able to, and that's exactly what we did the last time. Find out where they are, send a gunboat, a combat
ambush
chopper,
them,
ambush them, and slay them. They will just you fry them, annihilate them. They can be, look at that kind of volume of persons coming, over 80 that were neutralized immediately. You see, it tells you that they are not as intelligent as we are, because we are a trained force. They are not trained. We come up with intelligence and all that, but they just employ these things basically on as they just train them and all that. But whichever way, if they come out on TikTok, we're able to find out their locations and be able to send a combat team up, after them. And I know that the government will take advantage of that. And seriously, I think that the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not doing bad. There was something he did recently by calling for the institution of the state police.
I would love us to go there, but I'll play with you to hold on, because I want us to progress our discussion towards the issue of state police, which will definitely come up, and I love that. But before we do that, now let's look at where we are as it concerns the foreign assistance.
Okay.
I just spoke of the United States of America,
yes.
and just day before yesterday, or yesterday to be precise, France said they will also be assisting us as it concerns combating terrorism in the country. And I have two quick questions about that. Number one, what will such assistance do for us? Okay. That's number one. And number two, should we be thinking towards the way of France, or rather our neighbors like Niger, who share a common boundary with us, and who many feel is the reason that we're having flash of attacks coming from Niger? Because before the military junta take over Niger, we have a broad understanding, we have the regional understanding, the regional force that was giving a heavy blow to this terrorist element, but now we seem not to be working together, and we've been having them coming all the way from Niger, quick attack, go back. So let's look at it. Those two questions. What does this mean in France helping us out? And should we be making peace with France rather than our neighbors? Because if you remember, Niger and France are not even in good terms. Let me understand that.
Okay, I will take it as it comes. And I said, let's also look at the American, government and their troops on ground, their boots on ground, and their supply of technological weapons. How much it will, affect our fight against the act of terror. So now when the Americans came, we understand that they would supply. We didn't know that they were going to come with drones and all that. Yeah. We were going to share intelligence with us. Now they are getting more involved in operations.
Yeah, which is to our favor.
To our favor. And necessarily, I said it earlier sometime here on this platform that their coming was basically for strategic, to help us plan and all that. So now they are doing that. They're going to share intelligence with us, and now they're getting more involved in tactical warfare. Yeah. And I seriously think that is a plus to us. And at the end of the day, in no distance, that we begin to harvest, the gains. Then I pray that the act of sabotaging is checked.
The act of sabotaging
on our side.
Yeah.
Because
so we've had numerous cases of ambush.
Ambush, yeah.
Yes.
You will see that
of our forces.
The audacity to me is what is embarrassing. You see how some commanders, over 3 commanders or 4 commanders, were killed on the Nigerian army. They were killed recently between January and they were killed. They were ambushed and
killed.
And I would not forgotten that of Brigadier General Sani. That one is very, very a very pathetic one and a messy one at that. So you understand that we as a people need to be able to look inwards, clean our house, and so that we'll be able to work with these foreign nationals that are coming and be able to keep this thing in check and finally decimate it and neutralize it finally. And I think that the government is doing all it takes. Maybe there's a wake-up call, maybe owing to the fact that there has been an upsurge for 3% increment, which is a very, very serious matter as far as I'm concerned. And within let's take it like this. Within the first 1 year plus of Mr. President in office, over 10,000 Nigerians were killed in the act of, and just basically within the North region. And you see that 76% of that was done in Northeast. And the Maiduguri Yobe axis alone. And that's a very, very terrible one. It's a very, very terrible dent on the government. And I think that the government has to wake up, and that's exactly what they are doing now. I pray it's not basically because of electionary process that are coming in. That's why they are up and doing, and thereafter we'll see them going back to. But on my own findings, my friend, I want to tell you something. I believe there has been sleeper cells in the axis of the Northwest. So you see, they have just been activated. That's why you're seeing the level of increase.
Undermining our huge
Because
sources.
the sleeper cells, they have been in the society, been in
Blended in.
You know, before now it was in the hinterlands, in the villages and suburbs of Borno State. But as it is now, you understand. Look at the bomb blast that took place recently
in the market.
in market, the hospital, and so you see that there is something that's happening that the government needs to look at. So there are sleeper cells around. So we need to get into them, live amongst them, infiltrate their rank and file, and by counterintelligence, and be able to get them out. So that we'll neutralize them before they do damage to us.
Now, let me talking about damage. I want us now to look at one that is giving most governors a sleepless night, with some for and others against. And I'm talking about the split because of state police. I want us to now come to the issue of state police. Many will say that it's about time we really have state police, that it will help deal with this rising insecurity. It will help to put more men and boots on ground. It will help to indeed teach us the values of proper community policing. And the state police will just be doing that to help us decentralize the Nigerian police force. Now, my question is, would the state police help work and dealing with these issues? Let's understand. Or would it just be adding more fuel to the fire, especially as it concerns governors that will be unnecessarily too powerful to use this to their advantage?
Now, I don't want to believe that is immediately an uhuru because of state police. I don't belong to that school of thought, because I feel like it has to be an embodiment on the legal framework, the constitutionality of the state police. It's a multifaceted thing for me. I feel like our operational mode, what is going to be, is it going to be more proactive or is going to be a more reactionary force? Then you not just oppose that with the federal police we have now. Look at how far we have fed. Calling the military from the barracks to come and be able to take care of the domestic
security
issues. To me, it shows that are we going to arm them? Are we going to arm them more than the conventional federal police that we have now, or what are we going to do? Because the terror.
So what would they do to help tip the balance? That's what you are saying.
That is the legal framework I'm talking about. That giving it that flesh, And now you call not just the police force, because I see what the Mr. President did, mandating the Inspector General of Police to look at. I think it's supposed to be a broad-based thing. Call security experts from all phases of life, even civil society, traditional rulers, and all that, even community leaders. Let's put our heads together and be able to come up with a fundamental, front that can be able to checkmate the excesses of these terrorists. That's what I think. As bogus as it is, we have a more, the frontiers. We look at it. What are we looking at? Is it because these guys live in the forest? Are we going to send the police down to the forest and all that? So I think that basically what we need to do is to be able to check, a lot of things and see how we can be able to come up. So it's not just basically the state police thing for me. We need to look at how we can arm our forest guards and use them to be able to complement the efforts of the state police.
But do you see the state police at least solving this a bit?
And let me see the legal. Let me see what the operational
before
blueprints, the operational blueprints, and all that. But I think that at the same time, the federal is getting much more busy with the framework and all that. The states themselves should be able to call in critical stakeholders meetings within the confines of their state and be able to say, let's look at how we'll be able to boost our own and be able to build it up to a level. But I don't see any state doing this.
Wow.
Unfortunately.
Wow. Anyway, I want us to still remain with the state police because it will be improper if we have this discussion and we do not talk about our own primary constituent. And we're talking about Delta State itself. Just recently, the Delta State government released about 35 billion to deal with the issue of putting up police commands in the whole 25 local government of the state. And not only that, but some well-specialized units to deal with the issue of insecurity. Now, let's come to Delta State and look at where we are and what we should be doing on account of not just securing Delta, but also waiting for the kickoff of state police. Let's understand.
Now, as much as I don't have the knowledge as to what the state government is doing for now, but I think that because we are taxpayers, they need to kind of, make these things public, so that inform us and be able to make it broad-based, so that if we are going to make inputs, it should be all-encompassing. And, because, I always say something, knowledge is not supposed to be a stereotype thing, it's supposed to be broad-based, because where somebody else may know more than that. So knowledge is a broad-based thing that is supposed to be. So I think that the state government need to, like I said earlier in my closing remarks the other time, I said, okay, let's confine it to our state now. Let the state government call a critical stakeholders meeting. This one is a security consultant, this one is a security expert, combine them with the security operatives we have, and probably community and civil society organizations, then
vigilante that we already have.
Then we'll be able to do serious, deliberation on this issue. What do we do so that we're able to police our borders and be able to check the influx? Because most times you come out at midnight and you see how vehicles come in, how they go out and all that. When you have been able to make 1 or 2 day travels and be able to check, you see a lot of things go on at night. What all that will be factored in, so it's supposed to be like, okay, let's come Delta State. Let's make this thing work. And we'll be in pockets, we'll be hearing of pockets of attacks here and there in various communities and all that. And I would think of how to be able to imbibe a culture that will be able to checkmate all this. So I think that the state need to do more, come out publicly, do a public enlightenment, not just enlightenment, call a public
roundtable
meeting, and so that we'll be able to stakeholders meeting, we'll be able to like deliberate on this and come up with a blueprint, even if it's not going to be made public, the blueprint, but at least make this
more like a guideline on what we need to
then do. Submit a white paper or maybe whatever to the government. Okay, this is what we have. We do during constitutional amendments. I call whatever meeting, and everybody comes there to talk. You come out with your papers. Those who are coming with papers come out with papers and say, okay, this is what we are going to do. But for me, for instance, Delta State is rich enough.
Okay.
Not only to have a state, a proactive police force, but a reactionary state police force. You understand what we have, for instance, special weapons and tactics team, like a SWAT team, the arm of the state police command, where we have 3 geopolitical zones, we have 3 combat choppers that people to where we have that. It doesn't take all that, all the millions they're talking about. These are things that can be voted to specific areas that will help to checkmate. There's no way somebody who is waiting at AK-47 will be able to combat with somebody with probably a tomahawk chopper and all that. There are a lot of things we can put into place. Combat. There are things we can do. You understand? So I think, sincerely, it's hard time the government or those who are in state government, sit down and say, okay, let's look at this thing positively. Let's look at it, by getting every hands on deck and see how we can make these things work.
Well, anyway, I feel we've really made it work today, and we've been talking for close to an hour now on account of that very recent index indicating that Nigeria has, unfortunately, climbed up the ladder as it concerns most terrorized states globally. And not only that, but looking at also coming back home to deal with the issues of insecurity in our state, and also see how we can curb, and indeed, if we can't even curb, but we take it to its barest minimum and see how we can really thrive on that. But I really want to thank you so much, and I'm talking of no other person but security expert who has a BSc in criminology and security studies, and also NMC in intelligence and security studies. And I'm talking of security expert Omojefe Edafe. I really would say I would really appreciate your time, knowing how busy you are. We've been wanting to have you here since, but well, I will not let the cat out of the bag. You are dealing with a national way of dealing with this problem, and hence you've been pretty busy. And I'm just really happy you can honor our invitation to talk about security issues. Thank you so much for being a part of this awesome discussion. First in the week, and what better way to start the week rather than on a safe note?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. And thank you, viewers.
Okay, well, anyway, for us, it's more like a wrap on the show today, but you do know we'll never complete our discussion if we do not have your reactions and comment to follow. Well, they're already there on your screen, our different social media platforms. Let's have your reaction as it concerns the issue of our recent increase in the terrorism index. It's not a good one for us to smile about. If 2025 we are far more on the negative trend, we wonder what 2026 report will be, knowing that we've been having unabated attack of terrorists and indeed what the government needs to do to help change the narrative. Let those comments continue to come, and Mother will be more than happy to oblige in taking those comments as they come. And like I said, they're already there on your screen. You know, on Dialogue, the discussion never ends. It always continues. But anyway, talk about continuity. Yes, our viewpoint continues because the news will come around the hour. And guess what? Trending will follow. The first in the week. Why would you want to go anywhere rather than being with us right here on Atlantic TV?